Welcome to BHTube, your trusted source for global news and analysis. Let's dive into today's story. The Horn of Africa is once again under the international spotlight, drawing attention from across the globe. The region's strategic importance and complex political landscape make it a focal point for international observers and policymakers alike. The fragile peace between Ethiopia and Eritrea teeters precariously on the edge, threatening to unravel years of diplomatic progress and renewed cooperation. The situation remains highly volatile. The 2018 peace agreement, once celebrated as a landmark achievement and earning Ethiopia's Prime Minister a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts in fostering reconciliation, is now threatened by renewed mistrust, simmering tensions, and a series of troubling accusations from both sides. The initial optimism has faded, replaced by a sense of unease. At the heart of the crisis, Eritrean troops remain deployed along the contested border regions, maintaining a significant military presence. This is especially concerning in Tigray, where their presence continues despite repeated promises of complete withdrawal and a return to pre-conflict boundaries. Ethiopian officials view this continued military presence as a clear violation of their national sovereignty and a significant threat to the already fragile regional stability, potentially destabilizing the entire Horn of Africa. The alliance that once united the two nations against a common enemy and fostered a sense of shared purpose has now fractured under the weight of these new tensions, exposing old wounds, reigniting historical conflicts, and highlighting the many unresolved grievances that continue to plague the relationship. The Horn of Africa's stability is undeniably at stake. With global trade routes potentially disrupted, migration patterns significantly impacted, and overall regional security hanging precariously in the balance. The international community is left to wonder, watching with growing concern. Is this a temporary setback in the long road to lasting peace, a mere bump in the road, or the ominous start of a renewed and potentially devastating conflict between these two nations? The answer to this critical question will undoubtedly shape the region's future trajectory for many years to come, impacting generations. The stakes could not be higher, demanding careful consideration and decisive action from all parties involved. Ethiopia has officially brought its grievances to the forefront at the United Nations, seeking international intervention and a resolution to a deeply concerning situation. The nation is accusing Eritrea of what it describes as an illegal military occupation of its sovereign territory, a serious breach of international law. Furthermore, Ethiopia is leveling grave accusations of widespread and systematic human rights abuses allegedly committed by Eritrean forces within Ethiopian borders. Ambassador Sigub Kebebu has stated that Eritrean troops are not only present but deeply entrenched in Ethiopian territory, establishing a prolonged and unlawful presence. This, according to Ethiopia, is a direct violation of the hard-won 2018 peace deal between the two countries, as well as a fundamental breach of the UN Charter itself. The accusations brought forth include deeply disturbing reports of extrajudicial killings, suggesting a disregard for due process and the sanctity of life. There are also harrowing claims of widespread sexual violence being perpetrated against the civilian population, a grave violation of human rights and international humanitarian law. The accusations extend to systematic looting of property and resources, further impoverishing already vulnerable communities. And, perhaps most alarmingly, the deliberate destruction of vital infrastructure, crippling essential services, and hindering recovery efforts. Ethiopia claims that all of these actions are collectively worsening an already dire humanitarian crisis, pushing countless individuals to the brink. The nation further asserts that Eritrean forces are actively blocking humanitarian aid from reaching war-torn communities, exacerbating suffering and hindering relief efforts. By raising these critical issues at the UN, Ethiopia is strategically seeking global support, increased scrutiny, and ultimately, accountability for Eritrea's alleged actions. The Human Rights Council has responded to these serious allegations. They are extending its special rapporteur's mandate, empowering them to continue and intensify investigations into the alleged abuses. This move ensures that international attention remains firmly focused on Eritrea's actions and, in effect, validates the legitimacy of Ethiopia's concerns on the global stage. The world is now watching with bated breath as the situation unfolds. Consequently, the pressure on Eritrea to address these accusations and ensure accountability is steadily mounting. Eritrea has forcefully rejected Ethiopia's claims, calling them fabrications meant to distract from Ethiopia's own failures. Eritrean officials insist their forces respect international law and that any troop presence was coordinated with Ethiopia to fight a common enemy. They highlight Ethiopia's past refusal to accept border rulings, casting themselves as the party upholding legal obligations. Eritrea accuses the UN and Western powers of bias, claiming the human rights investigations are politically motivated. The government frames itself as a betrayed ally, not an aggressor, complicating efforts to establish the truth. The battle over narratives is as fierce as the dispute on the ground. The world's major powers are watching the situation in Ethiopia and Eritrea with increasing concern, including the US and EU, have a vested interest in regional stability and are closely monitoring developments on the ground, have voiced alarm over Eritrea's continued military presence in the Tigray region of Ethiopia, a presence that continues to fuel instability, and alleged abuses, including reports of widespread human rights violations and atrocities committed against civilians. The UN, through its Security and Human Rights Councils, is actively engaged in addressing the crisis, is pushing for Eritrean withdrawal and accountability for the alleged abuses, seeking to establish a framework for lasting peace and justice. But its influence is limited, facing challenges in enforcing resolutions and ensuring compliance from all parties involved. Human rights groups like Amnesty International have been instrumental in documenting the human cost of the conflict, and Human Rights Watch have played a crucial role in bringing attention to the atrocities committed, have documented atrocities, providing crucial evidence of war crimes and crimes against humanity, amplifying calls for justice and accountability for the perpetrators of these heinous acts. Diplomatic pressure and potential sanctions are on the table as tools to encourage compliance and de-escalation. But there's a risk Eritrea could become even more defiant in the face of external pressure, further complicating the situation. For Ethiopia, international backing is vital to navigate the complex political landscape and address the humanitarian crisis. But it also faces scrutiny over its own actions, with growing calls for accountability and transparency. The outcome of this global attention remains uncertain, with the potential for both positive and negative consequences. The international community's next moves will be critical in shaping the future of the region, could tip the balance toward peace or renewed conflict, determining the fate of millions of people. The stakes extend far beyond the region, with potential implications for global stability and international relations. Ethiopia and Eritrea now stand at a crossroads, with the risk of war threatening millions. Renewed conflict would devastate both nations and destabilize the Horn of Africa, with global repercussions. The alternative is a return to diplomacy, Eritrean withdrawal, renewed negotiations, and outside mediation. Peace in this region is crucial for global security, given its strategic location and the threat of wider instability. The world is watching, hoping for restraint and dialogue. The future depends on whether these nations can move beyond old grievances and embrace the spirit of the 2018 peace. The next chapter for the Horn of Africa is being written now. If you found this video informative, please subscribe to BHTube for more updates and insights. Thank you for watching.